of how we'll go through all the topics. So it's really just a summary of all the things that we have to cover and approximately at what time we'll cover which particular topic. And that's it. That's our schedule. Let's go all the way back to the class website. All right. Any questions? Any questions I can answer right now? Questions? Okay. Now, when you get to this website, there are several things you can do, depending on your preference. Some people you can basically choose to move a block to, quote unquote, the dock. And what that does is this. This is called the dock. So I'm basically hiding the navigation part and also the setting part. If I'm not putting my mouse cursor over there, it does not appear. Okay, so this way you have more room in the center part of your screen. You can focus more on, let's say, the description of your homework or some other material. If you don't like that feature, you can always just make it unhide or undock that particular item, so it will always be here on the left-hand side. The same thing applies to the right-hand side. You can see the right-hand side also has stuff like this. So I can also move all of this stuff to the dock. But the dock is always on the left-hand side. Okay? So it's entirely up to you, how you want to arrange your screen. There's no requirement. I cannot enforce. Well, I can, but I don't enforce a screen layout for this class. So I'm just going to undock everything because I do want to show you how you can find homework assignments and stuff like that. Any questions? Yep, go ahead.
What is the schedule part? There was a class on Wednesday. Is it on Wednesday?
I'm just picking Wednesday as quote unquote the middle of the week. So I'm just going to use that to indicate approximately at this time we should be covering this topic.
So I have to come in Wednesday?
No. It's just saying that in that week. Okay, I have to pick a day in the week. Just because of the way I set up my syllabus. So I have to pick a day in a week to indicate, what topics we'll be covering on that day. So the Wednesday thing is not, for you guys to come in here. It's just that, in that week, we'll be covering that topic. Well, thank you for the clarification. Yep. All right. So what we'll do is we'll go over the topics a little bit, which is these are all listed in the schedule. We should spend 3 hours of lecture time if this is a face-to-face class on various types of disability communities and their need in terms of interacting with the website, access technology for people with disabilities. So this is basically the first thing we have to do is to understand, well, if I blindfold you, how are you going to use a website?
You're going to teach us that.
Well, yes, but there are technologies that can help you do that. Okay, so if you are blindfolded, you can still access the website. You can use Braille, okay, as the output of a computer. You can use a screen reader, okay, because it will just read out the content of a web page to you. Obviously, navigating is going to be a little bit different because you cannot click, right? Because you don't have the ability to see, I'm clicking here. No, you cannot do that. Okay, so your screen reader will have the ability for you to pick which link to click. So the question is, does the website tell you anything about this particular link? Instead of just telling you what the URL is, does it have a description of the link itself? Okay, what if I give you a earmuff and so you cannot hear anything? Okay. And most of you will say, oh, that's okay, because web browsing is mostly a visual kind of experience. It's not audio, right? But what happens when you go to YouTube and try to watch an instructional tape on something and you cannot hear anything? Well, sometimes, yep, you have to rely on closed captioning. So for anyone who wants to produce, video content, closed captioning is very, very important. I don't know how much time we have in this class. I can teach you guys, some tricks of how to do captioning. and make it kind of more streamlined so it's not time consuming. Because most people think, closed captioning is going to be very time consuming. It is time consuming, but there are tools that can make it a little bit more streamlined and not as as much chore. We'll talk about legal requirements, including the ADA and also international policies, and so on. So this is basically a list of topics that I'll be going over during these 8 weeks. All right. And now we are moving on to the in-person orientation, and that's why you are here. The requirements to take this class, or take any online classes would be, first thing is you need to have access to a computer that has internet access. It doesn't have to be your own computer. It can be a computer in the library. It can be one of the computers in our computer labs. It can be, a friend's computer. It can be your cell phone, okay? Smartphones, for the most part, can do a lot of the homework assignments that I assign. May not be the best way to do it, but it can do it. You need to be able to, or have the ability to work with a web browser. You have to feel comfortable to kind of browse the internet using a web browser, to navigate a website like Moodle, and also ability to utilize internet resources, because sometimes you have to rely on Google to look deeper into a topic. Because sometimes I will give you a homework assignment, which is actually next, like, okay, give me 2 examples of technologies that can help someone who cannot click, someone who can see, who can hear, but doesn't have the muscle or the dexterity to control a mouse and click on a mouse. So what kind of technology can help that person? That person can see, no problem, reading from the screen, has no problem, hearing, but cannot, control a mouse or a trackball like a normal person, or a person without disability. So you have to do some research, okay? So you have to go online and use Google or some other search engine to do some research. So that's what this part is referring to. This class does have a prerequisite of cisw300. Last time I checked, several people did not have a prerequisite according to the records. If you think you're one of those people because you have not taken cisw300, if you have taken other classes, which has a higher number compared to cisw300, you probably have the prerequisite already. If you have not taken any classes in HTML, and HTML is foreign to you, you don't know what HTML is, you probably want to take cisw300 first, because this class relies on knowledge, that HTML knowledge. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to kind of go through this class. Any questions? Now, I know some people may have a lot of experience with HTML at work, in industry, but never really taken a class, have never taken a class like cisw300. In those cases, you can file a prerequisite challenge. Just go to the area office or division office, pick up a form, and then answer a few questions. Attach your experience, with HTML, and it will be evaluated by someone other than myself, and you can get you can challenge the prerequisite like that too. Are there any questions about the prerequisite challenge process? No? Okay. So other topics that I have to cover is how do I sign in? So I just talked about that. The URL is important. You have to use your student ID and your single sign-in password to sign in. The next question is something that I'll address next. How do I know there's homework, and where do I find that homework? Okay. When you first log in, you will see all this stuff here. There are several ways to find your homework. The easiest way is to go to the left-hand side and look up your upcoming events. The upcoming events will list all the things that will be due within, I think, the next 2 weeks or so. So you can see that we have a graded discussion. It's due on Wednesday, next Wednesday at 11:55. There are 4 homework assignments, because you can see there's a little hand here holding a piece of paper. That's a homework assignment. And there are 4 assignments due on exactly the same day. So that's how you can find, that you have homework assignments. Okay, and when the homework assignments are due. That's one quick and easy way to find out. Any questions about how to find your homework assignments? Yes, go ahead.
Once again, so the grades discussion, that's kind of like homework too. But
Yes, it is.
Anything that's over here, just do it.
Yep, exactly. And most of the time, I will also send you an email. After this class has started, because we're not going to meet face to face, I'll send everybody an email message and say, okay, there's a new homework assignment on the website, and then you have to go onto the website and kind of look up what is new. Okay, so now that you know there's a homework assignment, how do you do your homework assignment? Well, let me just click one, and I'll just pick the first one. What if you cannot see? All right. So when you look at this homework assignment, okay, just look through the whole thing. Well, I cannot do it just yet. Only 1 second, because I'm using the role of a professor, and professors cannot do homework assignments. So I have to pretend to be a student first. So you don't have to do this step because you're already a student. So now that I'm a student, I can do my homework assignment. Okay, most homework assignments are like this. It starts with a description. So in this case, this is an actual homework assignment, so I might as well just go through this once. What do you do if you cannot see and you have a need to use a website? So the first immediate question is, why do you think a blind person would want to use a website? What for?
Information.
To get information. Go ahead. Maybe to look up, additional resources or devices, to buy a Braille board, maybe. Okay, so there are reasons why blind people, would want to go onto a website. Okay, this can happen to people who are born without vision or have lost their vision from accidents or diseases, or maybe there's an eye operation, a surgery of some kind, and that person could not see just for the time being. In your own words. Okay, so you do have to make sure that you're not copying and pasting from another website or article. So you do have to write this part. Describe how someone can continue to use websites when they have this particular disability. Okay, in this case, is the loss of vision. Specifically, answer the following questions. What are the limitations of this disability? In other words, what can be done by a normal user that cannot be done by someone with vision disability? What do you think? So just close your eyes, pretend that you cannot see, and then you say, okay, now how do I use a website? Yep.
Images.
You cannot click anything, right?
All right.
If I tell you, oh, just go ahead and click that link, okay? How do you find that link if you cannot see the entire page? Okay, or a product website. Okay, if you go to, a lot of times you just have to kind of pretend that you're doing something. Okay, let's just say that I'm going to Amazon.com and I'm looking for a book. Okay, I don't know. So let's say I want to read up on accessibility, and I'm blind. Okay. I can't see these images, right? Or if I look for canes, okay, a walking cane, I cannot see these images. I cannot say, oh, okay, this seems like what I want to use, and click it. I cannot see the image. Okay,